Hello there. I am here to explain something about what is tendering. Tendering is the process by which bids are invited from interested contractors to carry out specific packages of construction work. It should adopt and observe the key values of fairness, clarity, simplicity, and accountability, as well as it should reinforce the idea that the distribution of risk to the party is also involved in that. So, to explain it in simple words, it is just like a person A needs something to be constructed. So, he wants the help of other people. What he does is he can't construct that. So, he wants some civil engineers to construct that. So, he'll call for tendering. So, many people will apply for that job. So, the person whose tender gets approved we'll have to construct, we'll have to do everything so that the building is constructed properly, manage everything, and it also involves the risks involved in the construction. So basically, the person completely accepts the project and return back to the person A when everything is complete. So now let's see why does the person A needs people to accept his tender. It's because when organization or individuals wish to have a new facility or carry out refurbishments or maintenance of an existing facility, they will be involved in some form of procurement. So these are there are variety of different methods for procuring this new facility, not all of which involve construction as a solution. A complete new building may be purchased, for example, or existing space may be leased, anything is possible. But here I am going to explain only about the tender which involves construction option, not the leasing or taking over the already constructed building. Basically, there are two most commonly used methods for tendering, which involves construction. Those are single stage tendering and two-stage selective tendering. Both involve the invitation of tenders from firms on a pre-approved or ad hoc list chosen because they meet certain minimum standards in general criteria such as financial standards, experience, capability, and competence. So here, the computation element that is most important. The computation element of a tender is provided on the basis of price and quality. The main difference between the two is that in two-stage process, the contractor becomes involved in the planning of the project at earlier stage. So the tenders are submitted on the basis of minimal information, and in the second stage, the employer's team will develop the precise specification in conjunction with the preferred tenderer. This method is usually favored in more complex projects where a contractor may have significant design input. Fine. Now let me explain something regarding tender document. A contract or tender document in construction industry is an agreement between two parties which they intend to be legally binding with respect to obligations of each party and their liabilities. The contract thus binds the contractor or to construct the works as defined and the employer to pay them in the manner and timings that are set out. We all know that civil engineering work are mostly complex. So this involves the contractor to employ various different operations, to use different materials, to use different manufacturing items. This also includes giving employment to a wide variety of specialists. The document defining the contract are complex and comprehensive. As I just mentioned now, the civil engineering work is uh, many a times very complex. So the task of preparing them for tendering therefore warrants close attention to details and uniformity to approach. So in order to achieve this, a clear set of documents which form an unambiguous and manageable contract is required. So a typical set of documents prepared for tendering includes many things. Some of them are instructions to tenderers. These instructions tell the contractor where and when he must deliver his tender and what matter he must fill to provide information on guarantees, bonds, proposed methods for construction, etc. The instruction may also inform him the number of items which will be supplied by the employer, the source of materials which he should use, like source of filling for earthwork construction, etc. Next one is the general and particular conditions of contract. The general conditions of contract may comprise of any standard forms of contract. So the particular conditions adopted may contain amendments or addition that employer wishes to make to the standard conditions. Usually these standard conditions are not presented in the tender document, but they will be named by specific reference and a schedule will show what changes have to be made by them later on. Next one is the specification. The word itself describes its meaning. It is the specification of quality of materials and workmanship to be used, methods of testing to be adopted to ensure that there is compliance. The specification usually starts with a description of the work to be constructed. It is followed by all relevant data concerning the site access, past record of weather, etc. It also is dependent upon the availability of various services such as water supply, electric power, etc. So the next thing is the most important thing which we are to discuss. That is the bill of quantities or schedule of prices. These form an itemized list covering the works to be constructed against each item of which the tenderer has to quote a price. So a bill of quantities shows the number of quantity of each item and its unit of measure. The rate per unit of quantity quoted by the tenderer and consequent total prices for that item. So this permits remeasure according to the actual quantity done under each item. Some bills contain many hundreds of items classified by trade or according to a standard method of measurement. Other bills contain a less number of items. We all know that the government of India releases schedule of rates every year. That has a major role to play here. So what does that contain? A schedule of prices may comprise a series of lump sums or it may call for rates only, but it also contains a list which contains provisional quantities which are estimated, but that is totally uncertain. They would be used, for instance, for a contract for sinking bore wells, items being provided in for boring in stages of depth, uh, the total depth to which any hole has to be sunk will not be known actually in advance. Next one is tender and appendices. Tender sets out the formal wording which comprises the tenderer's offer to undertake the contract. The tenderer having to enter the sum of prices he offers. The appendices to tender will contain other matters defining the contract terms and which the tenderer confirms he accepts in making his offer, such as time for completion of the works, damages for failure to complete on time, minimum amount of insurance, completion of bonds, etc. And for international contracts, there are many other matters which are of concern. For example, it depends on the currency exchange rates or sources of materials available, etc. The next and the most important thing is the contract drawings. These should provide we should provide a complete picture as possible for all the works to be built. The more complete the contract drawings are, the more accurately the contractor can price the work. So to avoid variations and extra payments to the contractor, it's better to provide a clear picture and an accurate drawing of the building that is to be built by the contractor. On the other hand, it is not necessary at tender stage to provide every detailed drawing that will ultimately be required, as long as the contract uh, drawings provided to the tenderer show quite clearly what is required. The detailed drawing I meant was like all concrete reinforcement drawings, etc. In case of a small job, all foregoing documents may be combined in a single volume. But on most jobs, at least two and sometimes three or four volumes may be necessary. A tenderer is usually sent a second copy of the instructions to tenderers, a bill of quantities, tender, and appendices, so that he can keep one copy of what he has bid. With this, I would like to end up the session. Thank you very much.